U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin vowed on Monday that the United States would take all necessary actions to defend its troops after a drone attack by Iran-backed militants that killed 3 U.S. troops and wounded dozens more in Jordan. Now, the attack on Sunday was the first deadly strike against the U.S. armed forces since the Israel-Hamas war erupted in October last year. And it marked a major escalation in tensions that have engulfed West Asia. Lloyd Austin spoke about the attack at the beginning of the meeting with NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg at the Pentagon. Stoltenberg offered his condolences and blamed Iran, saying that Tehran continues to destabilize the West Asian region. The White House has said on Monday that the United States is not looking for a war with Iran or seeking to escalate the tensions in West Asia. White House National Security spokesperson John Kirby said, "We are not seeking a conflict with the regime in the military way." Kirby further added that US President Joe Biden is working his way through response options. Meanwhile, Iran has denied any role. President Joe Biden has previously ordered retaliatory attacks on Iran-backed militias, but has so far stopped short of hitting Iran directly. Tensions continue to mount between Iran and the West. This as the US and the UK have jointly slapped sanctions on a network of Iranian nationals involved in assassination plots targeting Iranian dissidents and opposition activists. The US Treasury Department has said that the network was being directed by Iran's Ministry of Intelligence and Security. Now, according to reports, 11 people have been hit by sanctions. This includes Iranian narcotic traffickers Naji Ibrahim Sharifi Zindashtar. He is also said to be the leader of the network, which recruited 2 Canadian nationals to carry out assassinations against Iranian dissidents in the US. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken has warned that Ukraine battlefield gains are in jeopardy without new US funding. Blinken's remarks come as NATO chief Jens Stoltenberg was in the United States of America. Now, in a bid to lobby the Congress for approving more funding for Ukraine, tens of billions of dollars in United States aid has been sent to Ukraine since the Russian invasion in February of 2022. However, Republican lawmakers have grown reluctant to keep supporting Kyiv, saying it lacks a clear endgame as the fighting grinds on. UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak won the first vote in the upper house of Parliament on his legislation to revive a plan to send asylum seekers to Rwanda on Monday. Now, under the Rwanda plan, which has yet to be carried out, asylum seekers who arrive on England's southern coast in small, inflatable boats would be sent to Rwanda to live. After more than 6 hours of debate on Monday, unelected members of the House of Lords, largely made of former politicians and government officials, defeated an amendment that would have killed off the legislation by 206 votes to 84. Indian naval forces came to the rescue of 19 Pakistani sailors from Somalian pirates who hijacked their fishing vessel. The Iranian-flagged vessel Al-Naimi was boarded by armed pirates who took the crew members hostage. Now, all of them were Pakistani nationals. Indian Navy's INS Sumitra rescued the hijacked vessel around 1,300 kilometers off the coast of Kochi. The warship was on anti-piracy operations along the east coast of Somalia and the Gulf of Aden. This took place when it responded to a distress message regarding the hijacking. INS Sumitra intercepted the vessel, which was boarded by the Somalian pirates. A sessions court in the Indian state of Kerala sentenced 14 people to death today. And this is in connection with the murder of a BJP leader, Ranjit Srinivasan, in December of 2021. All 14 were associated with the banned Islamist outfit, Popular Front of India, or the PFI. The prosecution sought the maximum sentence for the convicts, terming them a trained killer squad. It said the crime falls under the category of rarest of the rarest due to the cruel manner in which the victim was killed in front of his mother, infant and wife. Two Indian students have been killed in the United States within 1 week. Neil Acharya, a Purdue University student who was reported missing on social media on Sunday, has been confirmed dead. The unfortunate news of Acharya's death comes after a 25-year-old Indian student, Vivek Saini, was hammered to death by a drug addict in United States' Lithonia city on January 16th. These fatal attacks at the Indian students come at a time when the United States has processed a record-breaking number of visas for Indian nationals last year. Significantly, Indian students are the largest group of international graduate students in the United States, and they make up more than a quarter of the over 1 million foreign students studying in the United States. Former Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan and Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi are sentenced to 10 years in jail in connection with the cipher or the state secrets case. Now, the judgment was pronounced after final arguments concluded in the trial court at the Adiala prison. PTI Chief Imran Khan and Pakistan's former Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi are convicted for revealing state secrets under the Official Secrets Act, like we just told you. The huge setback for Imran's Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf party comes right ahead of elections scheduled for February 8th. The long-delayed Iran-Pakistan gas pipeline project is back in the spotlight, following Iranian Foreign Minister's visit to Islamabad. While the recent flare-up in cross-border strikes remained the key agenda of the visit, sources reveal that Iran has offered a quote-unquote workable solution to Pakistan. Iran's foreign minister has offered a way out for Pakistan to complete the pipeline on its end, suggesting that the project can potentially be financed by Russia and China. The latest developments come months after Pakistan had reportedly shelved the project under US pressure and its sanctions on Iran. Chinese military enthusiasts are claiming a win for a China-made fighter jet against a European counterpart in a military exercise between Pakistan and Qatar. The Qatar-Pakistan joint exercise kicked off on January 10th. On the other hand, after 4 years of China's imposition of the national security law on Hong Kong, Hong Kong city leader John Lee said that Hong Kong will now create its own national security law as soon as possible. Lee further added that insurrection and other crimes are not covered by the existing legislation imposed by Beijing 4 years ago. Massive pro-democracy protests rocked the finance hub in 2019, bringing thousands of people to the streets to call for greater freedoms. The tensions continue in the Korean peninsula as North Korea fires multiple unidentified cruise missiles today into the sea off its west coast. Now, this is according to the South Korean military. This marks the third time Pyongyang has tested cruise missiles in less than a week in Korean peninsula. South Korea's Joint Chief of Staff officials said the launch took place at 7 a.m. local time and the details are being analyzed by the US and South Korean intelligence agencies. Now, the launch comes amid a rise in tensions on the Korean peninsula and follows another barrage of cruise missiles fired by Pyongyang off its east coast on January 28th. Philippines President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. held meetings with his Vietnamese counterpart Vo Van Thuong and other Vietnamese leaders during a two-day state visit to boost diplomatic relations. Now, at the meeting, Marcos Jr. said Vietnam remains the sole strategic partner of the Philippines in the ASEAN region. Notably, Philippines and Vietnam are the two major claimants that lock an overlapping dispute with China in the South China Sea. Post the meeting, Philippine and Vietnamese officials exchanged several signed documents on maritime cooperation, including an MOU on incident prevention and management in the South China Sea. Meanwhile, 7 people killed, including 6 children, by an improvised explosive device in northeastern Nigeria. 6 of the children, aged between 7 and 11, picked up the explosive device along with some scrap metal and stored it in an uncompleted building at an Islamic school in Gubbio village of Borno State. All 7 died in the incident. The village headman said the students at the school often collect scrap metal to sell to local communities. The Colombian National Police seized 130 poisonous dart frogs at the El Dorado International Airport in Bogota on Monday. The poisonous frogs were being transported inside film canisters by a Brazilian citizen who was traveling to Brazil via Panama. Colombia's environment minister said the sanction for having poisonous dart frogs can reach over $14,000. After an examination of the specimens, the Colombian authorities said that the frogs were dehydrated and stressed. The lawmakers in Bolivia have gone on a hunger strike, protesting former President Evo Morales' disqualification from the 2025 elections. The lawmakers, along with the supporters, continue their nationwide blockade. In La Paz, lawmakers are staging a hunger strike within the Congress building as a show of solidarity. The week-long road blockades have resulted in shortages of food and fuel, prompting concerns from sellers at Rodriguez Market about the situation. Over to some news from the world of technology. The global AI race for supremacy is intensifying. In its attempt to catch up with the United States, China has approved over 40 artificial intelligence models for public use in the first 6 months since authorities began the approval process. Chinese companies are rushing to develop AI products ever since OpenAI's chatbot ChatGPT took the world by storm in 2022. One of China's leading ChatGPT-like chatbots, Baidu's Ernie bot, has over 100 million users. The US Department of Defense is developing an AI program to estimate prices and predict supplies of nickel, cobalt, and other critical minerals. The move is aimed at boosting market transparency. The program is part of Washington's broader efforts to jumpstart US production of critical minerals used in weapons manufacture and the energy transition. Traditionally, futures markets and pricing agencies set metal prices that reflect what buyer and seller preferences using supply, demand, and other parameters. Italy's Data Protection Authority, Garante, has notified OpenAI that ChatGPT has violated its data protection rules. Last year, ChatGPT faced a temporary ban over alleged EU privacy breaches. Now, in the current investigation, Garante has found potential violations and has given OpenAI 30 days to defend itself. Italy is the first country to restrict ChatGPT in Western Europe, and its list of demands to address privacy. In December of 2023, EU lawmakers moved closer to regulating AI systems like ChatGPT, taking steps towards active AI governance. A recent study has found that Google and Facebook gathered over 20% data from children's Android apps. Google leads the chart, gathering 33% of data from children's accounts. It is followed by Facebook at 22%. Alarmingly, 85% of these apps allow sensitive data collection. The data is taken from applications like files, camera, and contacts of devices. Data saved by big tech apps also include exact location of the children. According to the study, Indian apps had fewer dedicated sections for parents in their privacy policies compared to European and US apps. In the world of business, Australian retail sales flipped into reverse in December as shoppers restrained themselves after a big splurge the month before. Retail sales slid after rising 1.6% in November as Black Friday bargains brought spending forward. Sales of $23.27 billion were up just 0.8% from a year earlier. That's the slowest pace since August of 2021, when COVID lockdowns paralyzed parts of the country. An annual rate of 0.8% is typically only seen in recessions and considered very weak given the country's rapid population growth. The US dollar, meanwhile, held narrow ranges against its major peers. Traders await the Federal Reserve's monetary policy decision for clues on when the US central bank might cut rates. In the meantime, jobs opening data from the US Department of Labor Statistics due later in the day will act as a preview to the closely watched payroll report to be released on Friday. Now, the dollar was steady in earlier Asian deals, with market participants moving cautiously ahead of the two-day meeting that kicks off on Tuesday. While the Fed is expected to hold interest rates, the focus will be on the tone that Fed Chair Jerome Powell strikes at the press conference. On the other hand, Toyota Motor sold a record 11.2 million vehicles in 2023, taking the crown as the world's top-selling automaker for a fourth straight year. The Japanese automaker reported a 7.2% jump in global group sales last year, including those of truck unit Hino Motors and small car maker Daihatsu. Now, second-ranked German rival Volkswagen Group earlier this month reported a 12% rise in deliveries last year to 9.2 million cars. marking a post-pandemic recovery as supply chain bottlenecks eased. Sales of Toyota's parent-only vehicles, which include those of its namesake and Lexus brands, hit a record of 10.3 million vehicles in 2023.